Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Queen Nefertility 33. I'm here with another article. This could be the last one. Can you want me to be the last one? Cause I am tired, okay? Okay, they ain't ready yet. Okay, so this gonna be another Disney princess story, okay? And this is actually my favorite. I ain't gonna lie, when I was young, my grandma picked out. She like I don't know why it was a nightgown. I know my daughter Tika had one on, but it was another one. I came home. My grandma she had either maybe the Mandela effect, but I remember that I picked out the Sleeping Beauty nightgown. Unless it was my son that had one. You know, another point though, somebody picked out a fucking Sleeping Beauty gown. Now Tika had on a shirt, not a gown. So I don't know. And I always was fun to Sleeping Beauty because nobody ever talk about Sleeping Beauty. They talk about Cinderella, Snow White, etc., etc., etc. You know, I'm starting to like these princesses now. Okay, at first I didn't really care for them. I mean, I like the Cinderella. I mean, they talked about Cinderella. They never talk about no other, but they talk about the other one. But it was mainly Cinderella. Always Cinderella, 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 Cinderella. I ain't never heard them talking about no damn Sleeping Beauty. Okay, so this is Sleeping Beauty, and I like her story because I feel like I'm Sleeping Beauty. So her real name is Doroshin. So let's begin. A long time ago, there lived a king and a queen who said every day, "Oh, if only we had a child," but they couldn't conceive. One day, when the queen sat in her bath, a frog crawled from water to land and said to her, "Your wish shall be fulfilled. Before a year has passed, you will bear a daughter into this world." As the frog said, so it happened. The queen gave birth to a girl that was so beautiful that the king was beside himself with joy and prepared a large feast. He did not just invite his relations, friends, and acquaintances, but also the wise women so that they would favor the child and help her. There were 13 in the kingdom, but because he only had 12 golden plates, one of them had to stay at home. The feast was celebrated with all pomp and circumstance, and when it was all over, the wise women blessed the child with their wondrous gift. One gave her virtue, one beauty, the third wealth, and everything else that could be wished for in this world. Just as 11 had finished their blessings, the 13th wise woman suddenly entered. Without offering or without offering a greeting or even looking at anybody, she called out with a loud voice, "The king's daughter shall prick herself on a spindle in her 15th year and fall down dead." And without another word, she turned around and left the room. Everybody was horrified, but when the frail woman stepped forward, who still had her wish, and because she couldn't lift the curse but only lessen it, she said, "I shall not be death, but a deep sleep lasting 100 years that will fall upon the king's daughter." The king, who wanted to protect his beloved child from all evil that might befall her, decreed that all spindles in the whole kingdom should be burnt. All blessings that were bestowed on the girl came through because she was so beautiful, virtuous, friendly, and sensible that everybody who looked at her had to love her. So it happened that on the day of her 15th birthday, the king and queen weren't at home, and the girl was left alone. She went around everywhere, visited rooms and chambers as she pleased, and finally came to an old tower. She climbed up the steep spiral staircase and reached a small door. In the lock was the rusted old key. When she turned it, the door sprang open, and in the little chamber sat an old woman with a spindle spinning her flax. "Good morning, Grandma," said the princess. "What are you doing?" "I'm spinning," said the old woman and nodded her head. "What that thing that jumps around so muddy?" said the girl, took the spindle and tried to spin as well. She had barely touched the spindle when the curse fulfilled itself and she stabbed her finger. In that same moment she felt the prick. She fell onto the bed that stood there and laid in a deep sleep. And this sleep spread throughout the entire castle. The king and queen that had just come home and entered the throne room began to sleep, and that whole court with them. The horses slept in their stables, the dogs in the yard, the doves on the roof, the flies on the wall, even the fire flickering in the stove became still and fell asleep, and the roast stopped sizzling. The cook, who meant to pull the servant's head because he had forgotten something, let get of him and slept. And the wind quieted down, and not even a leaf stirred on the tree in front of the castle. A thicket of thorns began to grow around the castle. Every year it grew higher, finally surrounding the whole castle, so nothing was visible anymore, not even the flag on top of the roof. A tale spread around the country of the beautiful sleeping Dorentian, Little Thorny Rose, because that's what people called her, so that princes came from time to time and tried to penetrate the hedge of thorns. True. They didn't succeed because the thorns stuck so closely together as if they were hands. The young men got stuck in them, couldn't get loose, and died a pitiful death. After many long years, another prince entered the country and heard an old man tell of the hedge of thorns. A castle was to be behind in it, which slept a beautiful princess named Doritian for the last 100 years, and with her the king and queen and their whole court. He knew from his grandfather that many princes have come and tried to break through the hedge, but that they had got stuck and died a sad death. The young man said, "I'm not afraid. I want to go and see beautiful Doritian." And this about me and Michael, okay? This was fucked up. This so fucked up. Ain't gonna care. I read it to myself earlier today. I like this shit fucked up. The good old man tried to discourage him as much as he could, but he wouldn't listen. Who? It just so happened that 100 years had passed and the day had come that Doritians was to wake again. When the prince approached the hedge, it was covered in large pretty flowers. They parted by themselves and allowed him to enter unhooked, and behind him the hedge closed again. In the yard he saw horses and piebald hunting dogs asleep, and on the roof sat turtle doves with their little heads stuck under their wings. And when he entered the house, the flies slept on the wall. The cook in the kitchen held his hand as if he wanted to grab the boy, and the maid sat in front of the black rooster that was supposed to be plucked. Then he continued on and saw in the throne room all members of the court lying down asleep, and near the throne lay the king and queen. He went even further, and all was so still that he could hear his breath. Finally, he arrived at the tower and opened the door to the little chamber in which Doreen sat up. There she lay and was so beautiful that she couldn't turn his gaze from her, and he bent down and gave kiss to her. When he touched her with his kiss, Doreen opened her eyes, woke up, and looked at him with a friendly smile. They went to the throne room together, and the king awoke, and the queen and the whole court, and looked at each other with big eyes. And the horses in the yard stood up and shook themselves. The hunting dogs jumped and wagged their tails. The doves on the roof pulled their heads out from underneath their wings, looked around, then flew into the field. The flies on the wall crawled away. The fire in the kitchen rose up and flickered, and the cook slapped the boy so that he leaped, and the maid finished plucking the rooster. And the wedding of the prince with Doreen was celebrated in all its glory, and they lived happily ever after. And that's the end of the first original Grimm's fairy tale. Personally, not one of my favorites. This is my favorite. I ain't gonna care. There are so many things wrong with this. Don't get me started on the poor kids dying in the hedge, or the young princess being forced into marriage with some dude on her 15th birthday, just because he happened to come along at the right time. Yeah, I know there's no point superimposed moderns onto old story, but sisters, come on. Okay, so this basically like how it ended up with Kia. Okay, because he married me. Even though they told him not to marry me, because he already was going to plan my other daughter death like this. Okay, I mean it's fucked up to me, you know. Basically talking about the original story, the beautiful princess was put to an eternal sleep by way of magic. She was constantly raped by the king who came across her, and she gives birth to his children as well. And that's all while being asleep the whole time. Since the 12th wise woman has not yet given her a gift, she says that instead of death, the princess will fall into a deep slumber for 100 years. The princess Rosamund pricks her finger in her 15th year and fulfills the prophecy, where she falls into a deep sleep along with the entire castle. Sleeping Beauty is found already sleeping in an abandoned castle, not by a prince but a king who proceeds to have sex with her while she was unconscious. They say it's dark. Yeah, it's dark already. It's dark though. Okay. Okay. So hopefully y'all enjoy. Like I said, y'all want me to do more of these. I will. I'm tired, y'all.